Hello, everybody. It is November the 12th, and we are live to talk about the Bayer and Benivo story, how Bayer has scaled its intern relocations with speed, empathy, and innovation. And trust me, it is a really interesting story. So you know how it works. Everybody join in the conversation, write in the comments box. Tell us who you are, where you are. Tell us what's going on in your world. We'd love to hear all about your news as we move forward. We are live on LinkedIn. We are live on YouTube. And of course, we are available on Spotify too, if you want to hear us as a podcast. We also have CPE codes that you can get. You can get your CPE credits. You can get them from our good friends at ERC. And I know they've got their conference going on in London, I think either today or yesterday. And you can get your GMS and your CRP credits. There they are. And if you want credits from SHRB or from HRCI, again, those credits are there for you. So I'll leave those up for you for a moment or two. Next week, we've got a great show for you. We're going to be talking about, we're going to be meeting a company called Maximus, which is a fascinating company. And the global mobility leader there, Maria Dominguez, and she's going to be telling us how they build trust, agility, and strategic value in their global mobility program. Fascinating company, fascinating subject. So, you know, that's really one to enjoy. That's next week. Meanwhile, what has been going on in the current week, in the 7 days just gone? Well, why don't we have a look at the breaking news? I must say, from a personal point of view, I went to a GME live conference and it was very good. So congratulations to Alex and Sean and all the team for that great event. So what's the breaking news that's been going on in the wonderful world of global mobility in the last 7 days? Well, let's have a look. So there we have it. Congratulations to everyone who's been promoted, to everyone who's got a new job. And if you're looking, well, there's quite a few jobs out there and we listed those. So if you are hunting for a new job, then we wish you all the best. Going forward, if you've got a job that you want to share, you've got a job that a role that you want to fill, let us know and we'll do what we can to promote it. If you've got some news you want to share, for example, you've been promoted or you've got a new job or something else has happened in your professional life or in your company's professional life, let us know and we'll do whatever we can to help promote it. Now, of course, I should say the last item on that news there was talking about the top 100 AI champions. Well, the news is that the entries have now closed. Okay, so if you didn't nominate or you didn't get nominated during that period, I'm sorry, it's too late. The good news, though, is that the reveal will be only a few weeks away. On December the 3rd, we are going to be revealing who has made the top 100 global mobility AI champions. And these are corporate champions only. So anyway, that's coming out in just a few weeks' time. So do make sure that you know you have that in your diary so you can see and join us as we celebrate who are the top 100 AI champions in global mobility. It's going to be a great show. Our end of year show is always a load of fun. Meanwhile, we're going to go on to talk about immigration. Julian's Lecole cannot be with us today. She's at a meeting in Dubai, but we are super excited to welcome back to this show a long-standing supporter and a great friend of the show, Shweb McKitt from Fragment, who's going to be giving us this week's immigration update. So you know how it works, everybody. Let's welcome Shweb to the show by hitting the heart button, hitting the like button, and hitting the applause button. Hey, Shweb, my friend, how are you doing?
Very well, Brian. How are you?
Good, good. So, what are we going to be talking about today?
Well, I mean, from a global context, I want to talk about really what the world looks like in different countries in terms of its offerings for settlement. How long does it take for different people, for different countries to offer long-term residence to individuals who enter there? The reason I want to pick on that topic today is because you may appreciate that UK seems to be going through a bit of a renaissance period where they are really reflecting back on a number of aspects of their policy. And one of the big areas in which the UK is reviewing its position is how long it wants to spend, how long it wants people to spend in the UK before it gives them long-term residency. And I thought it'd be an interesting kind of comparative, because one of the factors that, from my experience of working with various clients, is people always look at how long will it take for me to settle in the country, and that is usually something that incentivizes them to choose between one country and another.
It's a great point, isn't it? It's not just about getting the visa; it's about getting the route to residence.
Yeah, I mean, don't forget, the Achilles heel of us all mobility advisors is the fact that eventually people do settle and stay where they are. And for some people, of course, getting to that point as quickly as possible is the key motivation in order to choose between one country and another. Now, traditionally, the UK, of course, allows people who come here on work visas to settle after 5 years, all of the things being equal, as long as they've carried on working, as long as they're paying their taxes, they're not committing any offences and so forth. But now, under the current review, they are looking at perhaps doubling that period of residence to 10 years, and also introducing other criteria by which they make people, that they make people satisfy in order to get indefinite leave to remain. So this is what we call a contribution model. So not only are they going to look at residence length, 5 to 10 years, but also, are you contributing? Are you paying taxes? Have you done anything that looks like you're a civic contributor? Are you volunteering? And this is all up for debate in a recent consultation. And if it does go ahead to the point where the residence requirements are doubled, that will be an interesting kind of, will require interesting reevaluation of where the UK sits relative to other countries. So when I look at other countries, I mean, at the moment, the UK, it seems to me, is the mid-tier. It's offering the average period of time which is offered relative to other countries for settlement. So 5 years is in the middle ground. Some countries obviously offer a shorter period. I mean, Japan offers residency after 1 year. Australia grants it after 2 years. Singapore grants, doesn't have in fact a fixed period. And in fact, Singapore is perhaps an element of the model that we are looking at in the UK, because Singapore is exclusively focused on contribution. So what is it that you're doing? The more you contribute, the more points you get, and the more points you get, the quicker you can settle. So the UK, of course, is moving towards a hybrid of all of these things. It's going to double the length of residence, plus also introduce potentially different elements of contribution. The question is, how is it going to measure contribution? Is it going to measure volunteering? If it's volunteering, how are you going to record that? How are you going to keep that? Is that going to be part of your kind of mobility package? And are you going to gather evidence? So all of that is very interesting, because and in Europe, of course, in the conversation we had backstage, listen to people who are from Europe, they know that if you go to Europe and you spend 5 years continuously there, you get residency. So all of this is about actually reassessing the key golden standards by which people measure different countries. And what settlement is one of those kind of key benchmarks that I think it's worth having an eye on. And it's going to be a very interesting space in the UK, because we've got a consultation promised for the end of the year, and the result of that consultation, depending on what it leaves behind in terms of policy detail, may completely recalibrate the relative competitiveness of the UK compared to other countries. The other country I want to just talk about, of course, is the US on one level, because the US itself doesn't have any fixed period after which it grants residency. It is also a combination, like Singapore, of contribution and elements which are not in that way fixed by residence alone. So it will be interesting when everybody talks about other elements like costs and variation of other kind of criteria within different jurisdictions, how the settlement provisions will, when they settle in the UK, readjust its position in the kind of international landscape. And in that respect, of course, just again, locking down to the UK, if the period of residence is doubled, it effectively means double the cost. Whereas an employer might have to pay 5 years for an individual to get to the point of settlement. If it goes to 10 years, it's a doubling of costs. Again, it's a recalibration of programs, it's a recalibration of what, in fact, is the budget requirements in order for you to kind of establish programs in different countries. So all of this is very interesting in terms of the dynamics that were going on. I described it as a kind of renaissance with the UK. It's one of 3 reviews that are happening. And we've also got a review now, potentially of widening the scope of compliance to include the gig economy. So this is where the governments are actually now incrementally now aligning themselves more and more with the way in which the world works. And that also will recalibrate the relative competitiveness of the UK vis-a-vis other countries.
Yeah, it's a whole other area, the whole question of the gig economy and people can do and right to work checks in there and whatever. But Shweb, that's an amazing update, and I think it would be absolutely fascinating one day to see some sort of report on the rights, the route to residence in like a league table of it. We haven't got time to do it now, but I think it's a fascinating thing that you've just touched on. Shweb, as ever, it's been an absolute delight to have you on the show. And that's been really, really insightful and actually very thought-provoking. So very much appreciated that. We're going to move on to talk about tax. And we've got backstage, as ever, our good friend, Julie Barron from Vialto Partners. So everybody, as we say thank you to Shweb and we welcome Julie to the stage, please hit the heart button, hit the like button, and hit the applause button. Hey, Julie, how you doing, my friend?
All right, Brian. Doing well.
Good. So we're talking overtime.
We're talking overtime, and we're going to talk about US a little bit. But I'd also like to say it looks like we might get the shutdown might be over. So we'll see, right? Breaking news from here in DC. We might, have a functioning government maybe tomorrow. Anyway, we'll see. So I wanted to talk a little bit about an issue that a lot of our clients are struggling with, and that we've been surprised at how many questions have come up about this. And it's interesting because when you dive into the details, it's truly going to be a challenge for our mobility employers for 2025 reporting. So in the new tax bill, there was a new rule that we've never had before, that overtime is eligible for a deduction. So if you have employees,
a personal
deduction, so not an exemption. Right. Yeah, not an exemption from wages, but a deduction that you would take on your tax return. And it's up to $25,000 of overtime. And there are income limits on that, but it's a pretty significant amount that you can deduct. But the devil, as usual, is in the details, in that what is actually overtime that is eligible for the deduction. And of course, when Congress passed the rule this summer, and if you'll remember, that was in July, it is retroactive to January. So now employers who've been paying overtime from January through July, when this new bill came in, of course, we're not tracking what overtime that they've paid is eligible for the deduction. They were simply paying overtime, and now they have to figure out how to report that. So the IRS came out last week with some guidance for employers that said that while they should be telling their employees what overtime that they have received is eligible for the deduction, they don't have to, and there'll be no penalty if they don't. But here's the challenge. Because the overtime rules are so tricky about actually what's eligible, and I'll give you some examples. For instance, if you pay time and a half, the half is what's eligible for the deduction. If you pay double time, it's not eligible. So there's something called the Fair Labor Standards Act, and that is what governs. So only overtime.
I'm getting my head around that. So if you pay time and a half, the half is eligible. If you pay double, nothing's eligible.
Right, because it's only overtime that is required under the FLSA, and under the FLSA, it's time and a half. So in states like California, you don't pay overtime after someone works 40 hours in a week. You pay overtime after someone works 8 hours in a day. So that overtime, technically under these rules, is not eligible. So there's a lot of intricacies in the rules about what is eligible. And for mobility employers under FLSA, overtime worked overseas is not eligible. So that means we could have employees who are working overtime, let's say in the Middle East, and we have a lot of our clients who do have employees working overtime in the Middle East. That is not eligible for the deduction on their actual tax return, according to the way the rules are written now. We're waiting for clarification, but it would be hypothetically deductible. So does that mean that employers have to provide their employees with two statements? This is what your actual amount that would be eligible for the deduction is, and this is what hypothetically. So of course, as tax preparers, we're a little scared of what's going to happen with all of these employees who say, hey, I have overtime, I need the deduction, when actually it might not be eligible. So we're trying to tell our clients, hey, you need to really start digging into this now if you have employees who do receive overtime. And we have a surprising number of clients who do pay overtime to their expats, because you really need to get a handle on how you're going to communicate this and how you might be helping your employees figure out what is going to be eligible for the deduction on their tax returns. So that's my update for today, Brian. It's kind of an interesting topic.
It is. You know what? When you said you're going to be talking about overtime, my immediate reaction was, that doesn't sound like. But yeah, I did. But that is fascinating. I'm just trying to get my head around with what you've said and what Shweb said. I've had some fascinating technical updates today, and hopefully everybody in the audience has too. We're now going to move on, and we're going to be talking about what is happening at Bayer with their intern program. And it's a subject that is a bit different to some of the ones we've done before, but is fascinating because we're going to be talking about people who are moving, who are very, very early in their careers. So without any further ado, let me say a big thank you to Julie Barron, and let's welcome to our stage. We've got Alison Hodges from Bayer, and she'll be with Tal Temin from Bayer-Benivo. So everybody hit the heart button, hit the like button, and hit the applause button. Hey, good to see you, Alison. Good to see you, Tal. Lovely to have you on the show. Let's start with some introductions. So, Alison, tell us a bit about Bayer. You say one, I say the other, and indeed about yourself.
Oh gosh, I don't know where to start. So, people walk up to me all the time and they say, Bayer, what is Bayer? And I think the easiest thing to say to anybody that has heard of the name but doesn't really know what Bayer does is, do you take aspirin? Do you use Claritin? Do you use Aleve? Those are our consumer products that the world knows. But We are also the leading agri-science company in the world, and we are also all about making health for all and hunger for none, which is our mission, and that is providing healthcare for women, oncology, kidney disease, you name it. We are in it to help people be their best selves. So, and me, I'm just a little piece of that puzzle, located in St. Louis, Missouri in the United States. And I have the privilege of running our North America intern and co-op program. So I get to hang out with awe-inspiring, very smart, up-and-coming players in that space. So,
well, and Bayer as a company, I mean, give us an idea of size. I mean, how many employees do you have?
In the US, 20,000. Worldwide, over 100,000.
Wow.
So, yeah.
Okay. So
we're in 84 countries, and we have over 300 sites just here in the US. So,
wow, 300 sites just in the US.
Yeah.
And Tal, you've not been on the show before. Tell us a bit about yourself and your role supporting Bayer.
Yeah, hi Brian, hi everyone. I'm very excited to be here today. So I'm Tal Temin. I'm a client success manager at Benivo. I'm based in London. I've been with Benivo for the past a little over 2 years. And I support early career clients of ours, and I have the privilege to work with Alison for the past 2 years. It's been an amazing time supporting Bayer, their journey with us, and supporting their interns and co-ops and in their relocation experience.
Okay, so let's just drill down into it. Alison, you were saying that you've got, an established intern program. You've had one for many years. Give us what the intern program looks like. I mean, how many people, how many locations, typical age of the people? Just give us a pen portrait of what your intern program looks like.
So we ebb and flow with the needs of our business. Tal and I are working right now with about 260 open positions our recruiters are filling. We filled a little over 100 of those so far. We'll have about 40 to 50 starting in January. We hope to have all 260 positions of the filled. But every year we ebb and flow between 200 and 300. The highest we've ever had is a little over 300 a couple of years ago. And that, again, just depends on the business needs and the project availability that we have for students. We typically, on average, have students placed at about 54 different sites and territories throughout the US. Yeah. Wow. And that's where Benivo comes in. And they are, can be as young as just finishing their first year of college all the way through postdoc. So anywhere from, say, age 19 to 25 or a little bit older. Sometimes we have students who are married, sometimes we don't. But I'd say, Brian, the bulk of our students probably between ages 19 and 22 for the most part.
Right, so a lot of millennials, a lot of sort of young people.
No, they're not millennials anymore, right? They're Gen Zers.
Oh, yeah, you're right. Sorry.
Millennials are old now.
No, sorry. Yeah. I know. Basically, Gen Alphas you're dealing with as well.
Yeah, well, I don't know. I'm a Gen Xer, so is it Gen Alpha now? I think Gen Alpha, isn't that the teenagers?
Yeah, so they'll be coming in a few years' time.
Oh, goodness. I'm getting old. Yeah.
So anyway, so you've got all these, let's just call them youngsters, these 18 to 25-year-olds who are sort of starting with you, and they're coming from colleges all over the US to your sites. And some of your sites can be in city locations and some are going to be in fairly remote. So give us an idea, pen portrait maybe of the sort of some of the remoter locations they might be going to, and also some of the, bright light city locations they might be going.
So, at Bayer, again, we have locations where it'll be maybe 10 people at a location all the way up to a couple of thousand and everywhere in between. So we, because we are in the crop science business, you can imagine if you ever kind of looked at a map of the United States, really the middle third, almost 2/3 of the country is really where a lot of our crop science focus is, because that's where crops are grown. And that lends itself to more rural areas. So one of our challenges is to help students relocate to places that may not have an overabundance of short-term housing. So again, where Benivo comes in, but you'll have locations like, and these are great locations, and they're filled with great people who work at these locations: Muscatine, Iowa, Waterman, Illinois, Redford Falls, Minnesota. And then we'll have locations that are in very urban areas like Berkeley, California, Whippany, New Jersey, which is just outside of New York City, St. Louis, Missouri, which again is in the middle of the country, but it is a city of, I guess, a suburban area, a region that has 4 million people in it. So there's a lot of range.
Yeah, I was going to say, some of those places are going to be places where housing is going to be very, very expensive, like the Bay Area or Berkeley or whatever. And some, presumably, the problem is that there's just not much housing available. Some of the other places that you mentioned. Tal, tell me, how does Benivo support Alison in terms of going to all those sort of, varied and diverse locations?
So we know that interns have their own unique challenges. And as Alison said, finding housing, short-time housing is one of them, along with also access to funds. So if we want to really understand what is it that we're bringing here at Benivo, the first thing that we did, we designed a tool to support interns when they need to find accommodation, when they need to find a roommate. So we've kind of designed a platform flow, which we call it the Roommate Finder. Well,
Roommate
Finder. So we're giving the Bayer interns an opportunity to connect with each other before their start date, before they actually start their internship. And we're actually helping them create that sense of community, helping them to find a roommate, but also at the same time, we're giving them the ability to save on the costs, right? You have a roommate, you don't need to pay for a place to be there on your own. So that's basically a tool that we've seen that is super popular with Bayer, super popular with other clients. And we like the idea that they can access it before they actually arrive to the city, to bring them that confidence, more taking away some of the confusion that they might have. These are interns relocating for the first time, potentially moving out of their parents' house. We want to give them that level of support and confidence in making that very important decision.
Yeah, it must be a very stressful time for them. Alice, tell us from your point of view, how does Roommate Finder work in practice, and what are the features of it that that particularly
So I would say, first and foremost, I think Tal is underselling it a little bit, because we came from about 7 years ago of literally me having just a spreadsheet that was like, name, where you're going, what are your habits, things like that. And when we joined up with Benivo, it became this almost like, think about, and it's been a hot minute for me, but when I was getting ready to go to university, I had to fill out this long paper questionnaire about things like what time, my go to bed, early to rise. Do I like to cook? Do I consider myself neat? Those types of things. And Benivo has really created an opportunity for our students to find somebody who is sort of like-minded to them, so that they can build a successful relationship, because we all know living with someone that you love isn't easy all of the time. Moving in with a complete stranger could be a nightmare if not carefully chosen. So Benivo has done a great job of helping us tailor a way for our students, if they choose to have a roommate, be careful in their selection, and hopefully it benefits us in the long run, because we want them to have a good experience when they're with us. And part of that experience a lot of that experience is outside of just the day-to-day work. It's how they felt going into work, how they feel when they're at home at night and they're decompressing after work. If they feel like they're part of a bigger thing, of something bigger than themselves, a community, if they feel welcome, it's the soft things, I think, that appeal, that we don't, as a business, don't often think of, because we're trying to fill roles and we're trying to get work done, and how do we merge those two things? And Benivo's helped us do that, and I think we're always improving that. I mean, and at Tal, I'm probably maybe letting a little bit out of the bag, but we've worked on how on Benivo's end, they do collect feedback from students at the end of their cohorts. But Tal and I worked on how we are going to collect insights on our end too, internally. And then Tal and I will share those to continuously improve how we show up for students as they're transitioning.
Yeah, because obviously, you want the employees to have, or the interns to have, a great experience with you. And they're young. Most of them are going to be single. They're going to be away from home, maybe for the first time in their lives. Well, I mean, they've been away to university, but that may be within striking distance of home, whereas this might be a long, out of state. I mean,
Brian, and I just want to add this too, is that you got to think about nowadays too. Kids are so in tune digitally that they may not have the resources at their. The resources are there, but they're not collected and conglomerated for them. And then also being able to make sure, if they don't have that support system at home, help them. Not everybody has parents who are interested in helping them, or parents who understand that. So providing them those resources is really, gives them a leg up, and it, to be honest, in the end, it benefits us. So, I mean, I'm not going to lie.
It'll be hard. It'll be hard for you, because first of all, you're not their mom when they're moving, and that's not.
Oh Lord, no! I've got 3 of my own. I don't need any more.
But also, so first of all, there's that. They've got to stand on their own 2 feet,
Yeah.
But the other side also is that it's not as if you're dealing with 2 or 3. It's feast or famine, isn't it? That you've got certain dates, because they come in cohorts, when you might have 100 or so starting on one particular date or one particular week. That's right, isn't it? Because it's not all throughout the year. There's certain start dates.
No, we do, and we do that very intentionally. We have cohorts, and we have 4 dedicated start dates throughout the year, and that's designed intentionally so that they create a community within the larger cohort, and then they can additionally create a small subset of that cohort within their site. So they're having larger groups that they can interact with, and smaller groups that they can bond with. And very, very intentional. And then it also lends itself to things like the roommate finder, where they can see, oh, these 25 or 30 people are going to be at the same site as me, and they're all starting with me in May. And oh my gosh, $1,000 a month in rent. If I can avoid paying that, I can find 2 other roommates, and all of a sudden it's only $350 per person per month. So that's where, that's why we do that. Part of the reason why we do it. The other reason is obviously, in the United States, we have academic calendars. Every school has a different academic calendar. Some may go on semesters, trimesters, quarter systems, and we want to make sure that we have options for any student who thinks that Bayer is a good fit for them, for their learning and development and work experience, can join us. So pretty intentional with why we do that.
Yeah, I mean, it's fairly, it's a difficult move when you're moving young people who are going away from the home, and have lots of them happen at the same time is, a recipe for,
could be a disaster. It could be, yeah.
Mad,
yeah.
As people sort of say, help.
Yeah.
Which is why technology is so important. Tal, I think probably we ought to talk a bit about the technology. I don't know if there's anything you want to sort of share, but maybe just give an idea of how how this actually works in practice?
Yeah, absolutely. We're going to see a demo later today, right, Brian?
Yeah.
Cool.
Well, I was going to maybe show some of it now, actually, if you're in a position to do it.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's do it. Just bear with. I'll share my screen.
Okay. So whilst this screen is being shared, Alison, just tell us a bit about your experience with it.
With the Benivo.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So I think this is gonna age me. I'm just gonna say I love checklists, and one of the things I like most about the way we have the platform set up is that I can follow a list, and I can literally put a check next to it, and it takes me from point A to point Z very seamlessly when I run through it. With what Tal is gonna. We're not going to get into all of that or anything, but what Tal is going to point out are just some of the features that we try to highlight to students to help them navigate a very uncertain, an uncertain time for them. A lot of times they've never been to where they're going. It's going to be their first time there. So how do they negotiate it financially? How do they find to make sure that the housing that they're going to find is in a safe place for them? I think a lot about that as having, a daughter who went away to college, who went away on a clinical rotation 1,800 miles away from me. Wow. Making sure we live in St. Louis. My daughter went across the country for an 8-week clinical rotation, and I didn't know anything about the city that she was going to. And she was in a city, in a hospital in the city. So it's like, all right, what are we going to do to make sure that she stays safe? And I wish I'd had, her college, her university that she's doing her program through had something like Benivo for her. Cause basically it was like, well, let us know when you get there and make sure you show up to your hospital on Monday after Mother's Day at 7:30 a.m. Good luck. No money, no guidance. And it was like, but because of my experience with how our students use Benivo, I was able to use that obviously outside of Benivo to do that and help her find where she ended up living. So,
okay. So
Tal's going to show you, I think.
Okay, I'm just going to put it on stage now. So Tal, okay, tell us what we're looking at.
Perfect. So first of all,
can you zoom in a little bit on that?
Yeah, absolutely. Is it better now?
That's great. Thank you.
Perfect. Okay, so the platform that you see now is the Bayer platform. As you can see, it's fully branded with the logo here on the left side. And what an intern see when they log in is this homepage. And this is a new and fresh design that we launched earlier this week. So, and I'm really, really excited to show it to you. So interns see their top actions. As Alison said, she likes the checklist. So we are working with something that is very similar to checklists. And here on the right-hand side, they see any important upcoming dates, resources, and this is where the purple icon is where they can reach out and speak to our support team. I'm going to show you today the full action list and how exactly that looked like. Interns can see this kind of whole list of actions, and that tells them exactly what they need to do, when they need to do it, in the exact order. So the process feels guided rather than overwhelming. The platform also sends automated reminders when something is coming up or overdue. So Alison's team doesn't need to manually chase anyone to do something.
So there's no manual chasing there, it's automated.
Exactly. And I really wanted to speak about the welcome gift, which is this action.
So every intern gets a welcome gift.
Exactly, Brian. So if we go a step backward, basically, Bayer wanted to deliver that outstanding welcome experience before the first day. And we actually took that a step further, and we introduced an option where an intern will choose their welcome gift, a gift that they want to be delivered into their home. And at the same time, they can choose to donate to a charity that matters most to them.
And whilst we're talking about the welcome gift, I'll just ask Alison. Alison, from your perspective, how does the welcome gift go down with the interns, and what sort of things, are the most popular?
Well, and here's the thing: when we're talking about working with this generation of students, they're very, very, very in tune to and very passionate about social justice. So they want to see something that is. They're not typically interested in the normal, what you and I, Brian, would think of in our day and age as a welcome gift, a hoodie or a coffee mug or something like that. Is not something that interests them at all. They're interested in experiences and providing, doing good. So I think that's one of the best things about Benivo is we are trying to figure out how we can incorporate that into a welcome gift without spending hundreds of thousands of dollars, but it's still being impactful. And Benivo came up with a really great marriage of the two with a couple of different things. You can provide vaccinations to a child in need, I think is one of them. Medical, you could select getting language lessons for yourself. There's one, I think you actually can get a cup, if I remember correctly, or something like that, if that's your thing. And then one of the others is, what is it, Tal? Is it reading for somebody?
It's a medical kit, and that's lessons to people who need that.
Yes.
So there are different kind of options that they could choose from.
There's also a pay it forward element to this.
Yeah, there are both sides of it. So, which, a little something for you to say, we value you, and a little something for them to make a decision on where they pass it forward to, so that they can do a little good in the world. So. And it marries up right up with our Bayer's mission of health for all, hunger for none. So just paying that forward.
I love that. So tell us a bit more about the experience.
Yeah, absolutely. So I just wanted to add, we've seen so many amazing feedback comments on this specific feature, because it really kind of positioned Bayer as and reinforced their values of care and social responsibility right from the start. So that intern is supposed to start in like 60 days from now, but he can actually imagine what would be like to work from Bayer, what would be Bayer values based on this experience. Another example that I wanted to showcase today, I'm going to come back to the actions, is be ready for your first day. So if you think about it,
okay, so it's like what to prepare, how to prepare.
Exactly, Brian. So all the essential first day guidance is gathered in one place instead of across emails or different links. It reduced that uncertainty for interns, and it keeps all the communication in one place consistently. Also reduced the admin burden from Alison's team, right? We're hosting it on a platform. It's visible to everyone. No one needs to send an email, a specific email about it. So that's also one usage of the platform and the action list, getting them ready for their first day, removing that layer of uncertainty, creating that confident before start date.
Okay, and I know we may not show or if we can, I'm not sure, but if we can show the roommate finder, but if we can't, just tell us a bit about how the thing works.
Well, we're revamping it right now, so I don't know that.
Exactly. Let's talk a bit about.
We can. It's currently it's very hard on improving it. Yeah, so the flow is going to change a little bit, the amount of questions that we're going to ask. But just to give an idea of how that looks like, it's an optional, and then an intern will need to kind of tell a bit more about themselves, answer questions about them, what is it that they find. And at the end, they see a list of other users where they can interact with and, create that sort of community. I'm not going to showcase it today because it will involve some PII. Yep. as well. But definitely something that we're investing a lot of time and effort to make sure that it's addressing the needs for these interns.
And tell us about the financial side of this.
Absolutely. So here is the money tab. And if we click on it, then we have the pay later option, which, Brian, I don't think we've spoken about today. So
let's talk about pay later, because it's something that Benivo has done for years, but people in our audience may not be that familiar with it. So let's just go back to basics and explain what pay later is.
Yeah, absolutely. So we know these are interns. They are young. They might not have that financial cushion to move to a different location, to put down a deposit, to put down, a first-time solution or something on Airbnb, for instance. And we really want to support them with those expenses. If you think about it, they might potentially receive some support from their employer, but only after they start their internship, right? And only potentially with the first or second payroll. So how payroll works is intern can request an amount that obviously Bayer decide in advance, and they can directly access it on the Benivo platform. They review the repayment terms, they review the terms and condition, they enter their bank details, and they submit the request. Funds are usually wired instantly, sometimes within an hour, maximum is 1 business day. And they only need to pay back to Benivo after they receive their first payroll paycheck, basically. So it's very, very powerful tool because it supports equal access to opportunity, regardless of someone's financial background. For the Bayer team, the process is fully visible and automated. No spreadsheets, no manual tracking. Everything is tracked on the platform and managed on the platform as well.
Okay, and if I can ask you, Alison, I mean, you've been a Benivo client for a number of years now, and obviously we're very grateful to you for that. But when you were looking for a partner, what were you looking for, and what made Benivo a good fit for you?
Well, I think we've been, with Benivo for six years now, 2019. And the reason that we looked into alternatives for intern mobility was because one of the biggest points of feedback from students was that they wanted more insights. They wanted somebody that they could feel connected to and reach out to for help, and they felt like they weren't getting that. And I thought, a lot of times we were managing more issues than we were actually helping students learn and grow in our space. So it was an easy reach to partner with Benivo because they were providing these touch points for students with the housing, what was it called on the tab? The destination tab. With our interns, they do receive a lump sum, but they don't receive it until after they start. So again, the pay later option for them was a huge win. They weren't getting that before. So we wanted to create a more welcoming atmosphere for them. So that was probably the main reason why Benivo. Why have we stayed with Benivo? Because from the time we onboarded with them through current, there's never been a no from them. And that it was always, okay, hey, we need this. Well, let's explore how we can figure that out, how we can create that option. And the answer's never been no. It'll be either yes, or it'll come back to, well, here's what we can do to create a solution that's tailored to your needs, that's a win for both of us, and hopefully Benivo has been able to take to other clients. So I think what's important there is that you all, Tal, are always willing to work with us. You're always willing to look at our needs and meet our needs. And I don't know if this is saying too much, and I might get in trouble from Bayer. Tal made my life a million times easier earlier this year when Benivo is allowing us to direct bill our business units. So all of the amount of money that we pay Benivo now goes back and gets directly billed back to our businesses, and it doesn't come out of my budget anymore. Yay! So anybody who manages a P&L can appreciate that all of a sudden, when you talk about the relocation of 250 interns, that's a nice little chunk of change that I can, my team can reallocate to other really important aspects of recruitment, so that the business accepts more responsibility for owning that experience for their intern. So I probably shouldn't have said that, but
yeah, but I get we had that from a lot of parts, because a lot of companies, when they're looking to take, apart from what you said, when they're looking to take technology on, have to pay all the development fees of the technology. And that's got to come out of a central budget. They've got to get the central budget, and then they've got to get in the buy-ins from the business units to fund the central budget. Our model doesn't work like that. I mean, there's a license fee, but there's not.
Yeah. No, it's ready. It's tailor-made, ready-made.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You can go down to the business unit on a per employee in basis. But we talk about it from a corporate point of view. Let's talk about it from the employee perspective, the interns perspective. What has been their sort of experience? I mean, and do we monitor the interns?
I mean, the metrics speak for themselves. So, but I think, Tal, you all are very regular about collecting data, and at least that's what I can see on my view on the platform. And I mean, just to make it easy for people to understand, on a scale of 1 to 10, how did you feel about XYZ that Benivo's been delivering? We're in the high 9s on everything. Yeah. And I would say that's due to the diligence of what we've done in the relationship of, bringing questions, comments, and concerns forward as soon as we hear them. Tal and I working with my team and Benivo's team on the back end to try to find solutions, and being successful at that, because the metrics speak for themselves, and people aren't typically generous like that. And I just have been so pleased with how we're showing up with them. And it's not only like, just click, 1 out of 10, but they're putting actual comments in there about how much they liked the welcome gift, or how much they appreciated the thoughtfulness behind the pay it forward aspect of it, or how, they didn't have enough money for a first and last month, deposit for rent, and they had it now, and their first, when they get their lump sum, they're going to pay it back. And not to mention the fact that the loan is interest free. I mean, that's a huge, huge thing for them. So, when they're giving the feedback and they're actually taking time to write something out, that means way more than it does just a rating of 1 to 10, but we'll take the 9s though. We'll take the 9s.
So, and how's it made your life easier, Alison? I mean, how has adopting the technology?
Well, I don't have to do anything, Brian. All I have to do is call Tal. No, I mean, the way we've made it easier is, the most output that my team has to do is upload the contact information for the new joiner, and then we don't have to do anything else. It's as simple as that. It takes away a lot of unnecessary busy work. It takes away a lot of entertaining. Oh my gosh, I can't find an apartment. I can't tell you how many times, like, what am I going to do about housing? How am I going to find money? Because it's all right there for them. And then if they do have a question about it, there's that cute little chat bot on Benivo.
Yeah, let's get back to that.
Yeah.
We're looking at the technology.
Well, and even if you want to go to old school, you can email them too. I mean, if you're old school like me, you can just do support@benivo.com and somebody's going to get back to you. But you got the cute little chat guy in the bottom right-hand corner.
Tell us a bit about the mobility intelligence, the chat bot that's there, but also tell us a bit about the sexual insights as well.
Well, and we're adding to the chat bot. I'm collecting information right now from my team about what questions we can pre-populate in there. So it's getting built out and getting smarter every day.
Yeah. Yeah, so basically, here on the right-hand side of the screen where you can see the employee chatbot. So it's been there forever, but in around June, we've kind of added an AI capability for it. So basically, the first step now, when someone needs help or support, they are directed to an AI that is sitting in the background and is there to support any question that they have, from what document do I need to sign? When do I need to sign the document? How can I access the pay later funds? Up to where do I find housing advice on the platform? And say if there's a question that the chat simply doesn't know how to answer, the conversation is transferred to a live support agent, someone from the Benivo team that is actually speaking with the intern. And if that support agent needs additional layer of support, then we reach out to Alison and the team via Benivo tickets on the platform. Where this has been so powerful is with the fact that we can feed the chat with policies and documents and FAQs, anything that is currently managed by Alison and the team over emails. We can add it to the bot so it would know how to answer more and more questions. And Brian, we've seen phenomenal usage of it. So when we started, the chatbot resolved around 60% of the queries. So 60% started and finished conversation within the platform, but we're now seeing that it managed to solve around 80 and 85% of the queries within the chat without any human interaction. And we now also, Alison was talking about reporting, we also can report back to Bayer. We have a report that they can see the amount of interaction with the employees, what exactly each employee asked. So that will bring us more insights and more data to understand where exactly the support is needed, right?
Yeah, and we've always done that, because there are a lot of times where people, like Tal said earlier, I can't find something. And then me as an end user who's in it all the time, and I'm kind of like internally rolling my eyes like, it's right there, So, but when you don't use something all the time, it's not as evident to you. So gathering those insights allows us to say, hey, maybe we need to move that up higher. Maybe we need to make it bolder. Maybe it needs to move to a different area of the platform, those types of things. And those are the types of things that our teams are working together on. I should say our teams, it's a team of two, Tal and me, are working together to make sure that, we're addressing the needs. So it's just always tweaking, always making things better. Yeah.
We're pretty much out of time, Alison. So I've got one last question. We've got about a minute left. I've got one question I wanted to ask you, which is, you're also one of our change makers. What do you get out of being a change maker? What's the benefit to you of being a change maker?
Other than the quarterly you donate to a charity of my choice on my behalf.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, and I don't know if you guys can hear this. Yeah, well, but also that it is so cool to me that you all bring together people in mobility across the globe who could potentially be competitors with each other. And we all meet on a quarterly basis to share insights and ideas and best practices. And it's collegial, it's collaborative, and it is, you never walk away without learning something new, which and I've been a change maker since day one. I was one of the original change makers.
Hey, get in. And in fact, as I say, get out. So I'm going to bring on our other guests. I've got Schweb. I think, is Julie here? I think Julie had to leave us, but of course we've got the wonderful Tally. Remains. We're getting a bit of interference in the background, but all that really remains.
What is happening in your side?
It's for me to say thank you to everybody for being on the show. Thank you to our amazing audience. We will be back again this time next week, when we're going to be interviewing the wonderful Maria Dominguez from. Meanwhile, take care.